prefer it
Last
if you
week
just
I
told
read it
me the fuck was
immediately
going on.
when it came out.
That's what you should do.
I just had a busy morning.
I mean, every day is a busy day.
You were up
this
at
thing's fucking vibrant.
You were up at 6:15. What were you doing?
Well, I'm up at 6:15 every day.
That's a lie.
Nah.
That-
Amanda leaves the house usually around 6.
Okay, when I stayed the night, what was that Friday? A Thursday night.
Okay.
Maybe you like kind of like were awake, but you weren't like up.
Oh yeah, no. I don't usually like leave the house at 6:15. Today was just a unique day. Normally, my normal day is my alarm goes off at 5:40. Fuck you guys. They get up at 4:45, get on a call at 5 a.m. It's too much, honestly.
Well,
Like,
no, I used to.
I'm
be
gonna
that guy,
get yelled
but
at by
you're-
my aunt again. I'm sitting here cursing. She already yelled at me this weekend. Anyway. So yeah, people wake up at 4:45 in the morning. They get on a call. They're like, group chat. We're gonna ride the Peloton together. I'm like, guys, I am not there. This is the same person that like slept past an 11 a.m. college class. Like I was not.
I don't want to talk to anybody unless I've had some sort of coffee.
Yeah, right. So bring me coffee in bed, and then we can talk. I'm about that.
Yeah, and we can sit
I'm,
there,
like,
just
legit
like
about that.
sit there, hold our little mugs with the steam coming up, and just hey.
I am legit about that. Anyway, so my alarm goes off at 5:45. Usually Amanda's already out of bed. She already has moved about her day.
Well, she really like what she like has to be in the office at what time?
She doesn't have to be in the office at any time.
Oh, really?
There's
Well, I guess they kind of get to decide.
There's one
right?
person that comes to the office and he gets to the office at like 6:15, 6:30.
Okay.
So if she gets there at 8, she feels like a schlum.
When I used to work for the government,
Which, in case you're wondering, is like Yiddish for shitbag. See? There you go. You can yell at me again.
When I used to work for the government, I went in. I didn't have to be there at 6, but I got there so I could leave at 2 and try and avoid all the DC traffic.
Yep.
And that was like a game changer. But if I left 5 minutes after 2, I was fucked.
Yeah, right. That's the
You
whole
got to
thing.
get in and out of the door.
So she goes in around like 6, sometimes 6:15, and then she'll get to work around like 7-ish, and then she'll leave around 2 or 3. And some days she'll stay until 4:30 or 5, but then I'm like, girl, you should just stay till 7.
Yeah,
like there's no reason to drive home right now, but whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, let's watch this video.
Oh yeah. You got it.
Great real estate red flag story for you. So one of my agents is showing a property to one of his buyers. They love the property. It possibly even seems a little too good to be true. Three family property, great rental income possibilities. They put an offer in. The offer gets accepted. Awesome. Let's schedule the inspection. That's when things start getting a little shady. So next thing we know, there's no access. We don't have access. We can't show you one of the apartments, and we also can't show you the utility room. So that means we weren't able to see it during the original showing. Are the tenants even going to let us in? Are they going to move out when they're supposed to move out? And we can't see the utility room. So they're like, it's okay. Just sign the contract and you can do the inspection later. Like, what? So my agent, who's a little newer, he's asking me what to do. He understands that this is obviously not the way things are supposed to be done. But the agent on the other side is just pushing. No, it's fine. Don't worry about it. They don't have to see anything. Oh, it's fine. Just sign the contract. That is shady. That is very shady. You can't see the utility room, so you can't check the boiler. You can't see all the systems that you need to see to make sure things aren't haywire. There could be $100,000 worth of damage in there, and we don't even forget about it. Just sign the contract. Yeah, buyer beware. And for the buyer who may or may not be watching this video, don't sign that contract.
I'm right
I
there.
know him. I
Really?
know him. He's like Santa. That's Eric Berman. He's in New York.
I think I follow him on Instagram.
Probably.
Is
He does a lot.
Is he part of Tom Ferry?
Oh, yeah. And he
Okay,
does a lot
okay.
on our Instagram. It's interesting because I feel like that's one of the worst red flags, but he hit on something to me that's really a big key.
Okay, let me hear it.
So he said something about like, you can't access this room until you enter into a contract because the tenants are staying there. You can't access this because we're not yet under contract, or the tenants can't provide access, or whatever he said. And to me, when you're inheriting a tenant, you're inheriting a property, you're inheriting whatever. It doesn't matter if you're just buying your primary residence and there's no tenancy involved. If you're inheriting a property and they say, hey, don't come on Tuesday between 10 and 4, don't come on Saturday after 5 o'clock. Like, well, does the train roll through there at that time? Like, why are you preventing me?
Yeah.
Anytime you're preventing me from doing something, I get a little hairy.
I think
And
anybody
when you
would.
talk about like tenancy, it's like, will the tenants be moved out? Oh, by the way, you're buying a property from someone. It's your primary residence. It's currently tenant occupied. What is the condition that the tenants are going to leave it in when they move out?
One of my clients is not going through this right now, but we've been kind of somewhat put in this situation. There was a property that he really loved. He's like, Christian, I really want to go see this property. And then I look online. No interior access, even though they have photos. The tenants are non-cooperative. The pictures that are online, they look decent, but like when tenants won't cooperate with showings, shit hits the fan. Like it just
agree.
again raises red flag. Like coming back to our topic today. So when I present that to him, I'm like, hey, look, like there's no interior access at all. We can only see photos. We have no idea what inspections would look like for something like this. Are they going to be able to cooperate or not? This is just a very risky deal and something that you have to take into consideration because it's already advertised. But for this, I mean, everything that he's saying is very valid.
Faux show. Something I wanted to bring up, as usual, that you're going to hear this all the time, is this is an agent in New York. He's talking about a red flag in New York. Here in Maryland, we would have a little bit of a different change. Even in Pennsylvania, we have a lot more ability to protect ourselves after the home inspection. So let's just say, hypothetically, we had a transaction where this same exact situation arise. Perhaps I would encourage the buyer to, hey, sign the contract, we'll go through the inspection, we'll go from there, because the buyer has the right to back out of the contract during that inspections period. So remember that anytime you're watching a video, if it's from Memphis, Tennessee, or if it's Memphis, Tennessee, right? Memphis?
Yeah, that's a place.
I was thinking it was in Louisiana. I don't know why. Memphis, Tennessee. I'm not from the South, or even from like Oregon. Right? You have to take it with a grain of salt because
every state's
the
different.
Laws are going to be different. And the laws change so quickly. Like something that might have been relevant in October of 2023 might not be relevant anymore.
We actually went through that.
So, yeah, I think that was a big key. I also am a believer in one of our red flags from our blog. If you haven't already, go to our website, frankolivercode.com. Under blog or under additional resources, you'll find the blog. We have a lot of information, and you can get little tidbits from each little bit. And the biggest one for the red flags was talking about visible signs of neglect. And so when we talk about this video that Eric did, talking, you can't have access to this property, it's a big red flag. Well, to me, maybe it would, maybe it wouldn't, right? Like, hey, if I can't get into the area where the boiler is, or the area where the air conditioner is, or the area where the water heater is, or whatever, well, I mean, what's the kitchen look like, right? What does the outside condensing unit look like? Are the gutters cleaned, right? Because to me, when you see visible signs of neglect, they're followed by other neglected things, right? When you can see a lot of things have been maintained and maybe a couple visible signs of neglect, well, maybe there's like a 50-50 there. But if you see a property that's totally well done and everything's been improved, more than likely, even if it's not a brand new HVAC unit, it's a functional HVAC unit. And so, to me,
a difference there.
The visible neglect. And the funny one, by the way, if you want like a real estate hack, if Mike Frank is your buyer's agent, be the seller that tightens the door handles, that makes sure the front door works, that makes sure that the screen door shuts properly, that makes sure that the key goes into the hole properly. It sounds really silly, but every time that I have a hard time getting the key into the front door, it's like the door doesn't work properly. It doesn't shut completely without lifting it.
Yeah.
And then that's the same house that has a leak under the sink that never got addressed.
It's funny because I tell people sometimes that the hardest part of my job is opening the door.
Yeah.
As stupid and funny as it sounds, I mean, I know it's not super relevant to this, but off of your point, like that.
It's a red flag.
Yeah. I mean, it goes to everything else. And I'm with you. My, I don't want to say number one red flag, but like when I walk in and I see almost like the landlord special. They just paint over all the light switches, all the light covers, and then there's 8 layers of paint on all the trim and the walls. I'm just like, this was just, what do they call it? Putting makeup on a pig?
Yeah.
Trying to make it look pretty?
I totally agree. It's like a huge red flag because they didn't just paint over the light switches. they also neglected the air conditioner. The air conditioner that should have been replaced, they used degreaser and cleaned the outside of it. They changed the filter. They made it look good, but they didn't actually do anything. Maybe they spent $700 to repair the unit rather than spending the $5,000 to replace it. It's the red flag of like seeing the painted over light switch. It's really funny because I'm getting ready to rent out my property, and our house is beautiful. Like, not knocking anybody, but we've done a lot to improve the house.
Yeah. Amazing home.
But I realize now that in the priority of things to do, when I moved my bed in, I guess I didn't, I don't know. Later, I went through the entire house and changed out every single outlet, every single light cover, every single outlet cover, switch plate, everything. And I didn't change the 2 outlets that were behind the dresser and behind the bed. I use them every day to charge my phone, to run the bed nights, or the night lights, to run the TV. Like, I use those 2 outlets all the time. I know they work, but visibly they're painted over. They look fucked up. And so now I want to go back and fix it, because that's the priority that I put in having a nice home and taking care of the property.
I think
not everybody would feel that
like
way.
a lot of sellers, I feel like, try and take advantage of the market in an awful way.
I don't think I can choke more on my own spit. Jesus.
Right? Like, I got off the phone with an agent earlier today, and they're like, hey, why is your offer under asking price? And I'm like, the siding on both sides of the home is practically melted. The AC when we were there didn't work. The basement smells like incredibly musty, and every basement will to some extent, but this was like elevated. There were bugs crawling around everywhere. I was like, what do you mean?
So the
and then he's like,
value
well,
was
it appraised
impacted
for this and that. And I'm like, yeah, but you need to put yourselves in the shoes of a buyer. And what is someone going to feel walking in the door?
That's what I was just about to say. The value is impacted by the condition of the property, but the psychology of the agent, and it's so crazy. Like, if you don't already know this, we watch a lot of real estate related content, and every Monday morning we get on a group call at 8 a.m. It's the first thing in the day to try and kind of like jumpstart the week. And the craziest thing, this was on this call, I think.
Today?
I think it was, where we talked about of 1.5 million real estate agents, how many will sell 5 to 40 houses, right? And it's a huge chunky middle. Like, the greater majority of agents will sell 5 to 40 houses. Now, remember, 6 and 39 all get capped together in that grouping. What they're basically talking about is passive agents or new agents that are under 5, and agents that are uber successful over 45. That's a lot, right? But then when they flip it around and they say how many agents will sell listing over 40 houses, it was less than 5,000, or just over 5,000. Was this, am I crazy?
I don't think this was today. No.
Was it not on show today?
I don't think that was today.
Wow. I'm psychotic. Anyway, so literally of 1.5 million real estate agents, 5,000 of them will sell 40 in a year. Now, if you think about this in a different light, right?
So when you say sell, just for everybody else, like
list, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. Fair. If you think about this in a different way, right? If it takes 3 weeks to create a habit, so if you're going to brush your teeth in the afternoon as compared to the morning and the evening, or if you're the person that just like doesn't brush their teeth, whatever, you're going to start brushing your teeth. Doing it every day at the same time for 3 weeks will then create a habit. 21 days creates a habit. Okay?
Okay.
Just think about this. We're not even selling 21 houses a year. How good can most agents be if they're not selling a proficient amount of homes, listing side? And only 40 of us, only 5,000 of us are selling 40 or more.
Listing 40 or more.
Listing 40 or more. Thank you. So when it comes to like red flags, well, a lot of real estate agents happen to list a home, but they don't have any skill or expertise or knowledge. Yeah. So all of a sudden, there's a property that's priced really, really high for the condition of the property, and your agent, Christian, hello, ta-da, hello. Christian Olson, right, comes in and says, hey, look, I really think that this is a competitive price. Let me go to the listing agent and talk to them. And the listing agent's response is, this market demands a price over a list price, regardless of what I list it for. And you're like, no, it doesn't. Right. This is the value, and my buyer is real. This is serious.
Yeah.
How much of a disservice is that seller getting by an agent that goes, I don't know, let's get it appraised?
And well, what's funny, we have a couple interesting scenarios going on just with the buyer that I'm working with in the properties that we're seeing. We ran into someone who is a real estate agent that is selling her own home.
Oh, those are my favorite.
She has never done it. Well, I should say never done a deal in the 3 years that I looked up in the MLS. And I'm not knocking it, but like,
So she has a license.
she has a license
And
basically.
a pulse, obviously.
Yeah, yeah, and she took her course
And she took her course.
You know, but I asked her. I was like, "Hey, look, I'm trying to plan ahead and schedule this showing. I had messaged her last week, but this was for this Wednesday, so 2 days from recording here." And she was like, "Sorry, per MLS and showing time rules, you're not allowed to schedule a showing while it's in the coming soon stage." But I was like, "We're putting it for when it's active. Like that is something that happens all the time." Like you can schedule for when it goes active.
God.
And she like, that's a rule. You cannot schedule while it's in the coming soon stage, even for when it goes active. And I'm like, I want to scream right now. And I text her back.
This is a totally different situation, people. This is real estate, just 101. Get used to this.
Well, yeah, but I feel like it has a trickle down effect,
It does.
you know? And that's even a red flag.
Mm-hmm.
But like, she's doing a service to her, but the buyer out there and the agent out there. And she's like, I said respectfully, you can change, you can allow people to reschedule. And guess what? She just didn't reply. And the number that is in the MLS goes to her brokerage's office. You think I'm calling 8 numbers to get to you? I emailed her twice, and then I just said, F it, I'm going to find her information on Google since it's not in the MLS, and I found her cell phone and just called and texted her.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I was looking for a property, and it was one of these that the sellers had the property appraised, so that's what we paid. That's what we listed it for. It's like, dude, you've been on the market for 60 days. We went to see it. My clients loved it. They loved it so much they wanted to write an offer. They wanted to write an offer so much that they pushed their comfortability to make this offer. And while I understand that it's less than your asking price and they're approved for way more than your asking price, their comfortability was predicated based on the condition. And he's like, no, the sellers had it appraised. How much of a disservice are you creating for your client because you're not the agent that's strong enough? It's one of our red flags. One of our red flags is unresponsive or shady agents, right?
Yep.
An agent who avoids answering questions can be a big red flag. And when you're the listing agent and you're avoiding answering questions of your seller, how much different is that than a buyer's agent that avoids answering questions to a buyer on a weekend? Well, hey, we all work nights and weekends, but we all have respect and understanding that if you can't have the conversation with your client or with your agent to say, hey, this is the time that I'm off, this is the time that I'm on, that's all it takes.
Yeah.
But a lot of sellers don't have the proper service because no one is telling them, hey, this is a good way to, expect or anticipate the market response to your property. It is really funny. I mean, so many of these red flags, I can just think of time and time and time again where it's come to bite me in the butt because I just sort of like neglected it and I didn't think twice.
So what would be one that you had like lived through?
Oh, I don't know. Let me see. Okay, here's a good one. Going on right now, not throwing anybody under the bus, but if he's listening, he's going to know, and I feel really bad. It's awful. My client buys a property. It was a renovated property. The listing agent is a friend of mine. The client that he's working for, the seller, is a client of his, like someone he's worked for numerous times. So they renovate this property, and it looks nice, but it's not great. And it looks really pretty because it has waterfall granite and so on and so forth. Okay, great. We're going to submit an offer. Great. We're going to have a home inspection. Home inspection comes in. The home inspector says, hey, look, the roof looks pretty bad. It's in need of budget for repair, as they would say, right? It's not failed because roofs can't fail unless it falls in, I guess. But it was a budget for repair item. There was an active leak at the back door, and he didn't know where the leak was coming from, but he could use his thermal camera to say, oh, wow, there's a leak here. Like I could see the water in the wall, right? Then there's this problem and this problem and this problem and this problem and this problem. Okay, cool. So he gives us a report, and one of the things on the report was that the windows in the basement, the little hopper windows that open like this, they were painted shut. And I'm like, all right, cool. Well, the roof, the windows, the sliding glass door, the water, I'm thinking to myself, bro, like we should not buy this house. And I said, how are you feeling after the inspection? And he's like, well, I mean, there's a lot of things the sellers have to fix. And I was like, yeah, I mean, it's a great house, or it can be a great house, but there's a lot of deferred maintenance items, as they call it. And he's like, yeah, no, I know, but if they fix this and this and this and this and this and this and this, then we're good. And I was like, all right, fine. We'll just write it all up and see what the seller says. Of course, the seller agrees to fix everything. And they did a pretty good job fixing things. They didn't do any kind of shady work. It wasn't bad, but they didn't do the work in advance of the home inspection, which is where the red flag came in.
Right.
So the windows, now they've cut through the paint and they allow the hopper windows to open. Well, now they're drafty. Yeah, they're old wooden windows. They're not like properly sealed. Well, the red flag to me was that they didn't replace those windows when they replaced all the other windows. Right. They're super cheap.
Right.
Well, next thing you know, the buyer moves in. He gets frustrated with these windows. Well, now they're drafty. It's cold in here. I'm getting air coming through the windows. I'm like, yeah, dude, here's my roof. Here's my window guy. I got you. Then the buyer calls me and tells me he's got a leak. I'm like, oh my God, it's coming from the roof. He calls somebody. They come out. It was something silly. They put a cap on something. All done. Cool. Then the buyer calls me and tells me they got another leak in the living room where the leak was by the back door. So I'm like, dude, screw this. I'm having my roofer go out. My roofer goes out and sends me a video like nothing I've ever seen before. He's on top of the roof walking, and you could see the roof moving.
Holy shit.
And then he like pulls back the layers of the shingles, and you can see how brittle they are. And he's like, man, honestly, this is bad news bears. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but here you go. And okay, so now we have this conversation, and then the buyer calls home insurance, and the home insurance guy comes out, and they give him this and this and this and this and this, and then the buyer calls me the other day and tells me about some other problem that he's having, and I'm thinking to myself from the very, very beginning, why were you not more perturbed when I was trying to encourage you? There's a lot of deferred maintenance here. Yeah. There's a lot of encumbrances. Oh, I forgot. The air conditioning stopped working.
Nice.
And I'm like, yeah, dude, it's a deferred maintenance item. The air conditioner's 13 years old.
Yeah.
Right? Can it be fixed? Yes, but it's going to cost a lot of money. And so it's just like, because you failed to see the deferred maintenance and you failed to communicate, like, I'm a little bit worried, how would you feel? And I would have said, honestly, this is a lot of deferred maintenance. But he was focused on the waterfall granite and the big lofty ceilings and the cool yard. Yeah. And it's like, man, I want to be here to support. And Sean, throw it out there, right? I am here to support. Like, I have gotten my contractor over there. I've gotten my roofer over there. Of course, the roofer's not free. I had him contact our insurance agent. He's been helping him get discounts on his insurance. Now he's going through insurance to make a claim, blah, 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 blah. But it's like, Sean, why did we not see the writing on the walls when we were walking through the property, hiring a professional to give us this advice? When the home inspection report is 113 pages long, you probably have a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Home inspection report should be like 40 to 50 pages, FYI.
It's 113?
I think so. Just had a lot of photos, a lot of things. Click, click,
yeah, no, I'm
click.
about it.
You know what I mean? Like, every time that they put a photo in there, there's something quote unquote wrong. Yeah. So, I mean, to me, the big red flags are when the prices are out of alignment with the market and really the visible signs of neglect.
When a lot of people, like just the consumer out there that's looking to buy these properties, and it's just like, you don't know what you don't know, but like, they're like, oh, this deal on this property, why is it so low? And I tell people most of the time, like, if a property is priced incredibly low, it's either too good to be true, or it just priced very, very inappropriately, and the seller probably didn't take the agent's advice, right? Like,
on all accounts. Also, can we stop? Like, PSA, public service announcement for everyone. By the way, I'm withholding my cursing for you, Susu. I love you. We're having a PSA moment for everyone. Hey, Christian.
Hey.
Do you know why the seller's priced low, high? They changed their price. They lowered it 4 days after the market. Guess what the answer is? What is the answer?
I have no fucking clue.
No. Yell at him. Yell at him. I have no clue. No clue at all. You know why? Because we're not the listing agent.
Yeah.
What if their target market was to have a low price before it came to the market, draw up all this buzz, and then raise the price 2 days before just so that they got more money? That would be magical marketing. Is that what they're doing? I don't know. I literally was trying to buy something for $80 on Facebook Marketplace yesterday, and I thought, wow, what a good deal.
He's trying to create a bidding war.
And the woman texted me back and says, oh my God, I'm so sorry. My husband just yelled at me for trying to sell this for $80. I had to raise the price too. And that's where the preview ended. So I had to open it, and she raised the price to $140 or $120.
I think I'm gonna say.
And I'm like, girl, I probably would have paid $300 for this.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me because it's such a value. If it matters to you that the seller is raising or lowering their price, it's not because they're having financial trouble and they need to sell the house quickly. I promise you, they're not like in a rush to sell when they drop the price by $10. They're not out here to like screw the world by raising the price by $20,000.
Yeah.
They're out here to maximize their productivity. And you as a buyer should stop looking at the red flags and start focusing on what's important to you. And if all the things that are that property fit your buy box, that's what you should buy. Not, well, but what about this? And what about this? And that must mean this. And if they do this. And
I feel like everything in real estate should be treated as like your individual prescription. Like you go to your doctor and you get this to do this, right? Like everybody's situation's different. How you're working with your agent's going to be different than how your cousin worked with another agent or that seller sold with that agent, right? It's never like this one size fits all.
Oh my gosh, Liv has so much content in here. I was going to ask, have you ever encountered an inaccurate description of a property?
Like bedrooms and bathrooms, or you just mean like in the thingamajig?
Honestly, I wasn't even thinking about bedrooms and bathrooms. I've encountered that more than once.
I'm gonna stand.
Where they do this thing where the buyers say, "Where's the third bedroom?"
Oh yeah.
And I go, "What do you mean?" And they go, "Well, the listing says it has 3 bedrooms, and I only see 2." And I go, well, I mean, I guess they must be including the basement, which is very common here in Baltimore City, in case you're wondering.
Yeah.
So that's not far-fetched. But then they do this thing where they're like, oh, where's the 4th bathroom? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, the listing says 3 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms. And I'm like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
But then it turns out that it's 2 full bathrooms and 2 half baths. So it would be like 2 and 2 in our world. Yeah. But on like Zillow, it says 4 baths.
4. Yep.
Anyway, have you encountered any of those?
The only thing I've really encountered was the bedroom situation. Like someone tried calling a loft area that didn't have its own private door, closets, bathroom, its own bedroom. Like it was basically just like a top level that was open to anybody. There was a bathroom, I guess, off to the side of the room, and then it basically opened up to a balcony on the top level. And they considered that a bedroom, which is like the weirdest thing because we've talked about bedrooms being 80 square feet, needs heating, and then the egress was the other part. Mm-hmm. So, like, does it fit the description of? I mean, like, yeah.
But again,
like,
this is where I go back to like appraisal versus buyer.
Yeah.
Right. Like, is a buyer looking at that saying this is a 4th bedroom, or is a buyer looking at that saying 3 bedroom and a nursery?
Yeah.
Right. Like, come on, people. What are we doing?
Yeah.
One of Liv's questions in here was, what is an unexpected issue that you've discovered during a home inspection? I'm not even asking if it was a red flag or not. I'm just curious.
An unexpected issue during a home inspection.
Ooh, I have another good one. Well, Liv has another good one. It's my voice.
I'd say the most common unexpected thing I get is like like when the inspector's there, he wasn't able to actually access a certain part of it, and like in our showing, we had some access. Maybe the seller had changed something. I don't know, but like that is the thing I come across. Like I'm going through the inspection report, and I'm like, oh. The agent couldn't get into this place, or not the agent, the inspector couldn't get into this place, or check the attic, or this, that, and the other. And that's what I run into most of the time. I mean, like,
come on.
What do you have?
Well, the one that comes up to my mind, it's funny because people will spend 45 minutes looking at a 1,500 square foot rancher. Like, oh, knocking on the wall, checking to make sure they're like, quote unquote, structurally sound. I'm like, all right, fine. Whatever it takes for you. I am here for. If you need me to get down on my hands and knees and check it out, I'm down, right? Let's go.
Okay.
But real people, successful people, in my opinion, kind of just go with it. It's a gut feeling. They like the location. They like the size. They're going to renovate it to make it worth their time. Okay. So I have this guy that buys this property out on the Eastern Shore, and buys the property, boom, done. We go for a home inspection. At the home inspection, he's like, yeah. I said, oh my God, look, there's a barn over there. He's like, yeah, no. I saw that when we were here. It was getting dark when we were there the first time. We didn't see it. He's like, no, I saw that when we were here. I want to go check it out. So we walk over to the barn. Behind the barn is another barn. We were like, oh, shoot. Okay. So we check out that barn. That one was a big, like what they call drive-in, where you can park a tractor.
Yeah.
You know? And we didn't know that existed, which is kind of cool because then that freed up the garage for what he thought was going to be his tractor storage because it's a big property. Anyway, and the barn that we went to was actually not a barn. It was like think like an accessory dwelling. It did not have running water, but it had electric. It had a bedroom. It had like the bedroom was the upper level, and the downstairs was more like a clubhouse. Like
I feel like this is where they went in like Prohibition to drink.
Well, it wasn't like underground.
Well,
it was clearly a barn.
There's no water, so you have to drink alcohol.
Someone put a floor in it, and then you put in your like rugs and your whatever, your TV. He eventually did run water to it, but what was really wild about that was not only was the building there, and we didn't know that it was like a finished building, but also on the other side of the building was an underground propane tank, which is a huge no-no in Maryland. Environmental, and it was on the water, so like potentially the propane tank was quote unquote underwater level, right? Because like sea level is here.
Yeah.
It was wild, just a wild property, and since then he's done so much to improve it. But
yeah, I've never run into anything like
property.
that. You were expecting me to fucking knock it out of the park. I've never.
Yeah, I don't know.
You always have the special stories,
dude. I've seen some shit.
This wasn't even on an inspection. This was a showing, and it's nothing like crazy about the property. But one time I was going to this house, I think it was somewhere in Anne Arundel County, like Savannah Park or Pasadena or something, and it needed like a full-on renovation, which we kind of knew from the pictures. But we went to this barn out back, another barn story, and we go upstairs, and there's like a tarp laying, and this was like it was probably like 7-8 o'clock at night, like sun's already down, so you can't really tell anything. I'm up there with my flashlight going in, and the tarp right coming underneath, like outside of the tarp, is a fucking leg. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, guys, woo! And I was like, I don't know if we want to go up here. And then I get a little bit closer, and I'm like, this looks like a weird leg. Like, what's going on here? And it ended up being just like a fucking mannequin. But you can only imagine, 8 p.m., you're going into this thing.
Still scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, right? Like, what are the odds? I don't want to say the odds,
Yikes.
but like, imagine running into something like that.
Whew,
scary.
That got me a little bit. I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, you guys, if you haven't already, go to our website under frankoliverco.com. Under additional resources, you could go to the blog where you can find out so much information about red flags, home inspections, and everything else. There's a lot of content there. A couple things going on in our world. Want to share with you guys. We have a home buyer brunch July 20th, which is obviously kind of our first step to buying a house. If you haven't already, make sure you register for that. Send us a DM. We'll send you a link. We have an investor seminar coming up in just a week. It's the last Wednesday of every month. If you ever want to talk about real estate, hang out with other real estate investors, it's a great place to meet people like contractors, financiers, inspectors.
Or just people with investor experience.
Yeah, I mean, and sometimes it's just 4 or 5 of us. It's not even a major thing. So come out to that. It's here at our office, 3858 Falls Road here in Baltimore on the 26th of June. And then again, obviously in July. And then the big one that I'm shocked about, they have an ice cream trail, as they call it, Maryland's Ice Cream Trail. It's right on visitmaryland.org. You can go right to their website, visitmaryland.org/article/ice cream lovers guide to Maryland. And it talks about a whole bunch of different creameries in Central Maryland. It's kind of wild.
I feel like the picture that's up there, we've been to this place.
I think it's Annapolis ice cream.
Yeah.
I think it
kind of
is.
reminds me of it.
Central Maryland, they have Annapolis ice cream. They've got Bloom's. They've got the Charmery here in Hamden. Charmery has multiple locations now. Hoffman's out in Westminster. You've got Keys Creamery in Aberdeen. Priggle and Glenarm.
I don't know if
Tarka
it's on
Brothers
here,
everywhere.
but there's a Be More Licks in Baltimore, which is super popular. There's always a line, so be
Be
prepared.
More Licks does not show up on here. I'm preferential to the Charmery anyway.
All right, well.
Southern Maryland Heritage Chocolate.
Nope, never heard of it.
Yeah, neither has anybody ever heard of Southern Maryland. But I'm ching. Hey, where do we go?
That's
Get it.
That's St. Mary's County. I live in Calvert.
There you go. Anyway, well, if you guys ever need anything, you know where to find us. You can find me on Instagram at michael.frank____. You can find us on our website at frankoliverco.com. Send us all of your questions, and we'll talk about it next week.
You can find me on Instagram at Christian the Deadhead, and we will catch you next week.
Bang.
Deuces.
What's up, guys? Thanks for watching. For more information on the housing market, Real Estate 101, how you can leverage your position in today's market, and so much more, click on the link below. If you like this video or have a burning real estate question you'd like us to answer, leave us a comment and let us know. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode, and we'll see you again real soon.